When setting up the left hand frame, one of the most common questions students ask is where to place the left thumb. Should it be across from the first finger, or should it be across from the second finger, or somewhere in between? People get into discussions about their choice and why it's good, and that's precisely the problem. There is no single correct answer. Hey, this is Ina Langerman from Violin Live, helping you along your musical journey. Here are a few general things to consider regarding your left thumb. Wherever you place it, your thumb needs to accomplish three main things. Number one, it has to be relaxed and flexible and ready to help get your hand everywhere around the fingerboard. And number two, it has to act as counter pressure to the fingers, but without squeezing or gripping the neck. And number three, it has to support the four fingers in first position in such a way that the weight is distributed evenly. Of course, I'm just talking about establishing the left hand frame. And this is where people get into debates about the thumb position and start comparing different photos of different method books and pedagogy treatises. The thing is that all of those illustrations and photos are in fact correct in their own right. This is because an ideal position highly depends on the individual's hand anatomy. It is generally accepted that smaller hands will have their thumb more or less across from their second finger, while larger hands will have it further back, somewhere around the first finger. And the majority of hands that I've seen, the players put their thumb in between, right in between the first and second fingers. However, it's important to understand that hand size alone does not completely determine everything. What I just described is only how to set up a basic left hand frame. But what about considering trills, extensions, and playing in high positions? There is so much more to the thumb position than the hand size. There's also, we need to consider the length of the fingers, the flexibility of the joints, and also the general anatomy of the whole arm. It all has to be taken into consideration when making such decisions. Therefore, I am not going to give you a concrete answer in this video. So sorry about that. It is everyone's individual responsibility to experiment and discover what works for their own setup. Of course, this is so much easier with the help of a great teacher to take a look at your hand. However, I will give you some general tips to help guide you. The first is that no matter where you place your thumb, it's very important that there is enough space between the thumb and the first finger right here, and you want to hold the instrument lightly. You want to make sure that you're not gripping. If you have larger hands, for instance, and your thumb likes to stick out more just because of the size, even as long as you have space right here, it's fine, as long as it doesn't start gripping the neck like this. This is very common among beginner players, and such gripping and pressing into the neck will create so much tension, and it's going to prevent technical facility from developing. Smaller hands, on the other hand, might find it more comfortable with the thumb more underneath the neck, either right under the neck or halfway in between the side and the underneath. This position is also helpful for anyone who plays without a shoulder rest. By not playing with a shoulder rest, the thumb holds more responsibility of holding the instrument up, and it also creates a stronger physical connection with the instrument. For me, for instance, I find that the contact that the thumb makes with the neck, especially on the bottom here, when not using a shoulder rest, it allows me to have a better sense of the distance between positions, and in general to feel and understand the fingerboard much better. When shifting, there is another question that pops up, and that is, does the thumb lead the shift or does it follow the other fingers? Again, different schools of thoughts on this one, and maybe I will talk more about it in another video. But no matter which way you shift, just make sure that your thumb is able to move around freely. A very common mistake beginners make when learning how to shift is that they leave the thumb behind and they think that they're in a new position, when in fact the thumb, it kind of determines what position you're in. So right now I'm still in first position. Finally, the thumb should always be ready to adjust to go into alternate positions than the one we established earlier for the left hand frame. For example, consider a player who would normally place their thumb between the first and second finger for their frame. And however, if they suddenly have a trill between the first and second fingers, there's a high chance that they will decide to move their thumb further back in order to better support those trilling fingers, which would lead to a cleaner articulation. So for example, for my left hand frame, I have to put my thumb across from the second finger because I have small hands. But if I want to trill between the first and second finger, look what my thumb does move further back. Okay, I'm still in first position, of course. So as you can see, it depends on what you have to do. Other instances when alternate positions need to be considered are during extensions and during certain chords and double stops, which may require us to put our fingers into strange positions that we wouldn't otherwise do by default. Now, I would like to finish this video with a quote by the Russian pedagogue Yuri Yankelevich. One can compare the directions in the methodical literature concerning any specific issue, such as the position of the left-hand thumb. The contradictory opinions naturally lead to a puzzling question: who is correct? It turns out that all the authors are, to a certain extent, both correct and incorrect. Each found the positioning for himself that proved to be the most efficient. However, to turn an individual solution to a problem into a general rule, that is, to dogmatize, is incorrect. Thank you so much for watching, and if you found this video helpful, please share it with a friend or a colleague. If you would like to have these discussions on a deeper level, along with a summary of all my content in both video and written form in your inbox twice a month, sign up for my newsletter below. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and happy practicing!